final score being 63-61.
And where's North Carolina?
Going,
That's a good point. Where's the North Carolina right now? Unranked. What team should be ranked? The AP Top 25 came out late Sunday. We saw what teams entered, and we saw what teams, stayed the same or dropped off. Marshall was one of those teams that we went into this week thinking that they were going to be ranked, and for the simple fact that they just beat, Notre Dame, and Notre Dame didn't look that hot against California, but they still pulled out the win. Then they go in and lose against Bowling Green, and then all their top 25 chances are just slowly dwindled away. So, yeah. So, Lindy, I know this is not your forte in college, but just from the top 25, what team did surprise you that's not ranked right now?
Yeah, I got like I said in the beginning, I got you with this one. So the tie-in when it comes to college sports, specifically college basketball, if you didn't see behind me, it's kind of hard to tell, but I am a huge Tar Heels fan with college basketball, so I do tie myself to UNC in college football a little bit. With that said, I do believe UNC is worthy of being ranked. Now, granted, they're not a team that has a signature win necessarily, outside of coming off of the game against Appalachian State, where I think they took their foot off the gas towards the ending of the second half, because at one point they were up 41-21, and you see that in the NFL a lot. But when you look at them from afar, you got two freshmen working there between Drake May and I can't think of the running back's name off the top of my head. There it is, Marion Hampton. You got two freshmen working in there, and for Drake to come in as a freshman working against a lot of the top quarterbacks in college football right now. I mean, he's tied for first with C.J. Stroud in touchdowns. He is the 8th best QBR at about a 90 at 89.5, 15th in total yards. He only has one interception. You have to, sometimes you got to give credit where credit is due, and him introducing himself to the collegiate level of football and having the performances that he did. And like I said, granted, they don't necessarily have a signature win under their belt, and a lot of that is due to the level of competition that they faced. But in terms of the ACC, they should be one to reckon with in midst of the conversation.
Yeah, that's a very interesting one. And again, I think the only thing that's hurting them is exactly what you said, was Appalachian State. And I think that's kind of a good, I'll go ahead and get mine out the way since you've already mentioned it, and it's going to be Appalachian State. Yeah. And what I have to say for that is they beat Texas A&M, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they won this week against their own conference, and a conference opponent in Troy. Why are they not ranked at least 25? But the committee has loved Florida teams, but doesn't include Florida State in the top 25 now. When, I'm sorry, Sora, Florida went from not ranked to number 12, and the AP has been very, very generous to Florida teams outside of Florida State, and Miami just lost to Texas A&M. And it wasn't a pretty game whatsoever, and I'm a big fan of Mario Cristobal as their coach. But how did they lose to Texas A&M, but Appalachian State won against Texas A&M, but is not ranked, and respectively, Texas A&M is 23 and Miami's 25. To me, it's I don't really have any other concerns outside of that. I mean, Michigan State lost against Washington and dropped completely out. Oregon State is playing really, really good football right now. They're still undefeated. Kansas is really undefeated, still playing undefeated as well. But come on, I don't understand. Maybe it's because they play in the Sun Belt Conference and nobody talks about that. But, they had College Game Day this week in Boone, North Carolina. Beautiful place. If you guys have never been to Boone, North Carolina, and seen Appalachian State, it's a beautiful school and a beautiful city. But Appalachian State, outside of that, when it comes to football terms, they should be ranked higher, and their quarterback is awesome too. So I think in just the, they're receiving, they received 77 votes this week. So, I think another good win for them, and a couple of really bad losses by, like Pittsburgh and some other schools, and they might drop out. Wake Forest is one to keep, and we'll talk about that. Wake Forest versus Clemson. Wake Forest loses this week. That might be a chance for Appalachian State to find themselves into the top 25 as well. So Slay, who are you picking as?
I'm gonna have to agree with you, Dante, with Appalachian State. Their only loss was against the North Carolina Tar Heels, and that was by 2 points. Final score being 63-61.
And where's North Carolina? That's a good point. Where's the North Carolina right now? Unranked.
Unranked, yeah.
So that has to carry some type of stature there.
Yeah, that does carry some weight as well. But I mean, you do come in and you beat number 6 A&M in the SEC, which is the toughest conference to play in. Then you beat in conference opponent in Troy and have quite possibly one of the best game-winning last second Hail Marys. College game day being in Appalachian State. You had Luke Combs as the guest. Everybody hyping everybody up. And just to see them struggling and then to see them pull off a last second game-winning Hail Mary is just executed perfectly. I do agree some of the teams like A&M probably and Miami shouldn't even be ranked. But yeah, Appalachian State got to get some respect on their name.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can make an argument. I definitely agree with you, Lindy. And I definitely, of course, I agree with myself when it comes to Appalachian State. So I agree with you too, Sor.
As one doesn't.
Drake May is a really good quarterback, man. People need to start paying more attention to that kid. So, that is a good one. And I don't think enough people, if you're giving Appalachian State votes now, for losing, essentially losing to North Carolina, but they won against them, and then North Carolina won against Texas A&M. They're almost in the same boat of thought. It's like, what do you do with these two teams?
They're not too far behind in votes. They're pretty close to each other. Yeah,
exactly.